Hi everybody, welcome to Every Woman. I'm Lake, your special guest tonight. I am here with Tianen, who wrote an awesome book, and she's here to tell us all about it. Let's go. Tell me about yourself, girl.
Well, it's great to be here. Thank you for having me, Lake. So, like you said, my name is Tianen Stephenson. I am based in Dallas. I am a wife, a mother of 4 young, adventurous boys, a career professional, an author, a speaker, a track runner, a little bit of everything.
So tell us about this book. What inspired you to write it?
I really wanted to help young professionals to learn their journey and how to navigate in the workplace. I learned a lot of things early on in my career, and I thought it just made sense to write a book to help as many people as possible, because there are things you just don't know when you enter the workplace. So that just started the journey for me.
Okay, so the title of this book is Closed Mouths Don't Get Fed. I love the title. When I was given the title of the book, it instantly took me back to my mama and my grandmama. I want to know what inspired you to write this book.
So just like you, it was one of my parents that always said that to me. So my dad would always tell me, closed mouths don't get fed. If you don't tell me, how can I help you? And I was like, okay, that makes sense. But then it really started to click in the workplace, and people always ask, how did you get that? How did you get the client to say yes? How did you get the extra promotions and things like that? And I would just go back to the saying. And then when the idea for the book came about, I was like, what's the title? And that was actually the first thing that came to mind. Usually the content comes to mind for a lot of authors, but the title was the first thing for me. And then I was thinking through, what does that title really mean, and started to unpack the themes and the thoughts and the stories, and just started to build around all of that.
So what was your favorite chapter? My favorite chapter was the fears, because I think that is the hindrance of everybody opening their mouth to get fed. For you, what was your favorite chapter of writing your book?
So my favorite chapter is actually the last one.
Really?
It's called Pass the Plate. So it's really about, once you get the knowledge, once you understand how to navigate, you should share it with others. So it's the whole idea of lift as you climb, or just paying it forward. So I want people to continue to spread the knowledge and just to help others along their journeys.
So one thing that I want to take from the book, I noted that you changed schools in high school. Tell us about your experience and how if you think that affected the trajectory of your career.
That is a really good question. So growing up, I lived in a predominantly Black suburban neighborhood, ended up going to a mostly Black public school called DeSoto High School, and somehow my parents found out about an opportunity for us to go to a prestigious private school called Green Hill. And we didn't know what Green Hill was. We were like, okay, sure, let's try it. So we went through the extensive testing and interviews, and we actually started at DeSoto for a couple days before we found out we got admission. So it was kind of interesting to go to school and then go the next day and tell our friends, like, hey, we're actually leaving. Like, we're gonna go to a different school. And they're like, huh? And we were like, yes, but we didn't realize what type of opportunities that afforded, because the academic rigor was way higher. Like, the amount of work that I did to get all of the A's, it only got me B's. Mm-hmm. It really pushed me to think a little differently around studying and just the ideas of education. So it actually made college a lot easier. So the joke around the school is your GPA will be higher in college than it is at the high school.
That's good.
It is.
They set the bar high.
And then the fact that I took on more in college with being a student athlete. You know, being an athlete or even taking on a job, you're putting a lot of hours into that. And so the fact that I had to be very conscious of the time and the effort and making sure I kept my grades up and and all of that. Green Hill really prepared me with that, but it also prepared me just for, for corporate America.
Okay.
So the school was predominantly white. I want to say it was like 38% diversity across all of the other races. So being in a different setting and knowing that I can be adaptable and flexible and being able to still be successful in any environment, it gave me some of that confidence and really showed me what the possibilities could be for my career.
And that's true because you are a mother. She is mothering, she is authoring, she is touring, she is still working on her other job. I mean, I think that is awesome. How do you do it?
See, when it becomes a passion, like all of the things that I'm doing are passions,
Yes.
It doesn't feel like it's work. It doesn't feel like it's a burden. So I don't know how I do it. It just happens, like day by day, I do a daily prioritization of what I need to get done or what do I need to focus on. So some days I'm great at being a mother, other days I'm really got to zone in and focus on a deliverable, but it's a day by day exercise that I have to go through to make sure I can touch all aspects.
Well, you do a good job.
Thank
so,
you.
like I said, my favorite chapter was the fears. Which fear do you think is the biggest hindrance from people starting that whole push to get what they want, to get that mouth fed?
So I would say the fear of rejection.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we just want to be accepted when we take a new role or we go into a workplace. So a lot of times we don't speak up because it's like, all right, let me just follow the crowd. Let me follow the culture or the norms. And versus like, actually, there's a better way to do that. Or, hey, I think we should follow this idea, and it may not sit well a lot of times. But if you open your mouth and at least give it a try, you realize people will be more receptive and actually follow you, and you may become the leader and the one that they follow instead.
And then that led me to your chapter of accepting those no's.
Yes.
So what is your advice for, people if they get over the fear of rejection, then they hear that no, that's what stems that fear of rejection. How do they accept that no? Because everybody hasn't read your book. But I love it.
Yeah, so the whole thought around no is that it's not the end of the story. For me, I think of no as no ... There's a reason behind it, but there's a way to overcome it and change it into a yes. So sometimes it's a no, not enough evidence, no, we don't have the funding or enough resources to cover a training or something like that. Maybe it's not the right timing. You may want to ask something for, let's say you want to ask for extra money after they just gave out all the money for the whole year. I did that. And I didn't realize that, I didn't think about like, there's a certain pot of money and that's it. So, but I was eager, and I was like, let me just ask, but not knowing that it was not the right time. Mm-hmm. And so I waited a few more months, and then I asked again, and I got a yes for a pay adjustment. So it's just figuring out what does that no really mean, and in what context, and investigating that a little bit deeper to understand, okay, maybe I need to go to a different person. Oh, that was not my training approver, so let me go to the right person who approves my training, and then you figure it out, and it's just a part of the journey. No's and yeses are all a part of the journey.
I believe it. So you're not an author by trade. What made you pick up one day and say, you know what, I'm going to write a book? And what gave you the courage to do that? Because I know you said you had put the pen down for years.
Yes, so a little known fact is that I wrote poetry in middle school and high school, so I've always had a creative side, but then I kind of stopped writing because I got a no in college. So I had the thought of publishing a poetry book in college, but because I was a student athlete, they told me I could not use my name. So this is around the NIL, so name, image, and likeness. It's a different story 15 years ago, where you couldn't use your name or your own brand to monetize, even though I wasn't talking about anything about the school or athletics. I was talking just through my thoughts. Mm-hmm. So because of that, that really stopped me from writing for a long, long time. But when I got promoted to manager, I don't know, it just, a calling came upon me, and it was like, I should write. You know, let me just see what can happen with this. I didn't think I would get to the finish line. It took a few times of me stopping and starting, but I saw the good that this book can do for others. It outweighs my fears of, what if people don't like this book? What if people tell me no? And I actually had an editor that told me no, that they would not help me, that I didn't have enough work experience to write this book. And that crushed me for a few months. That crushed me, and then I stopped writing for a little bit. So even I still deal with those rejections and the fears of failure or success, but I have to recognize it and address it and work through it and don't let it stop me. So that's how I've overcome the whole part of just starting to write it, finishing it, and now pushing the book at this point.
So you mentioned you're a student athlete, and again, I read about the rigor of your training. I have student athletes, and I think it really shapes their character. How do you think that affected you overall for writing, for just success in general?
I would give so much credit to running track, because a lot of things that I go through in the workplace in my life, I look at it in the track lens of like, all right, let's get it to the finish line. You know, there's a deadline, let's push, let's crunch. And it brings out that determination, that resilience, that perseverance in me. And I can always reflect back like, oh yeah, I remember that time, you know, that hard workout, and all right, I pushed through it, I can push through it now. So it kind of gives a foundation and really instilled a lot of those values to where it shows up in the workplace, to where, hey, team, we got to, you know, work the weekend. Let's do this together. I'm in the trenches with you. I'm gonna coach you up on this. So I use it in all aspects of my life. I still run. I even do a little bit of coaching. So yes, it still shows up.
Do you have any more books you feel like you're writing? Because I am a part of the ABC Book Club, Alcohol, Books, and Charcuterie, heavy on A and a C,
Nice.
book in between. But we are always looking for new books. We're always looking for things to read, to self-help, uplifting, and inspiring. What do you got in the works for us?
Yes, I'm already working on a couple things. Yes. So to go with the book, I'm actually working on a workbook.
Okay.
And the goal is to release it sometime, maybe like December, January timeframe.
Okay.
So even though I tell the story and tell the lessons, I want people to apply it to their own lives. So it's different to actually put it in your own words.
Right.
So the workbook is going to help people with that. I'm also writing a children's book.
Oh.
So same title, but bringing the lessons to the younger generation. And then I am working on a second professional book. I have not determined the title of it yet, but there's two different thought processes that I'm working through on the next book.
So if you could say your target audience for this book is anybody, who would you say it's for?
It is really for the young professionals, those who are just starting out, but the lessons apply to even seasoned professionals. Sometimes we just need those reminders to say, hey, you're playing it small, or you're backing down. Use your voice, speak up. So really targeted towards the young professionals, but anyone as far as like college students, people entering the workplace, people who's been in the workplace for 5 years, people who's trying to get to the upper threshold of management, it can help everyone.
Okay, so thank you for your time. You want to tell everybody where they can get this book at? Because I found it on Amazon Kindle Unlimited for free, and you can find it where else?
Yeah, so like Lake said, you can find it on Amazon, but you can also purchase it from our website if you want it to be signed. My website is www.tianenstephenson.com, and then you can also find me on all my socials. So I'm on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. So my handle for Instagram is Ask Tianen, and then also TikTok. So
you on everything.
I'm playing around with the social media a little bit.
Anything else you want your audience to know?
The biggest thing is just be intentional, be curious, and be fearless, and go after the ask.
Tianen, thank you for joining us this evening. And everyone else, please tune in next time for Every Woman's Book Club.